This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Sabrina Brown. Thank you for joining us. Topping the news, affiliates of the Trade Union Congress on Grand Bahama taking part in strike action today. Members of the Commonwealth Union of Hotel Services and Managerial Union started the day off with a protest at the hotel property in Lucaya. Megan Shepard reports.
A number of unions joining forces in a show of solidarity Wednesday morning, taking to the streets to protest for what many union leaders call their fundamental rights. Vice President of the Bahamas Hotel Managerial Association, Kirkland Russell, says that workers of the Grand Lucayan have a number of major concerns that they need to be addressed immediately.
There are some major concerns here at the property. There are concerns with the employer not adhering to the industrial agreement. Some of the basic concerns for the property is simple things like raises, simple things like benefits, like pension. We are very concerned for proper pension for the workers, and that's in both groups. We are very concerned with basic minimum raises. The property, the workers at this property has not been given raises in some 12 years, 10 to 12 years for the majority of the persons who have been here at Atlanta time.
He adds that he is also very concerned about minimum wage in the country.
We have called for years for the government to look seriously at minimum wage and to place minimum wage at a level that an individual could at least survive. $150 per week. It is impossible, totally impossible for a mother of one child, some got 2, 3, 4 children, to take care of family with $150. It is a national disgrace.
Now, President of the Commonwealth Union Hotel Services and Allied Workers Union, Michelle Dorset, sending a strong message to the owners of the Memories Resort.
We are the owners of the bargaining agents, so therefore we are the owners over there also. So we'll be coming for the members over there who are hurting drastically. Maids, $350 per room. That's ridiculous. That's how much they get, yes. And we're going to stop all this foolishness going on in this country today, because lights are off, water is off, mortgage is actually overdue, where the banks is actually taking people out of their homes. So we have to take a stand today in solidarity and let the owners know of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas that the Trade Union Congress is standing solid, and also the government to know that we are workers of this country and we're not going to let no one ride upon the workers who put you there.
Now, President of the Bahamas Marine Dock Refinery, Lionel Morley, calling it an unfortunate situation that workers have to resort to such action. He's encouraging all workers to not be intimidated by large companies, but to continue to fight for rights they've deserved for many years.
There cannot be two laws in this country, one for the haves and one for the have-not. And so I'm subject to law. We want them to be subject to law. The only strength the union members have, the only opportunity union people have, individuals have, citizens have, when they're fighting capital, is to unite, to come together, to show a force of oneness. And what you're seeing here today is a sign of oneness.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
But the strike action wasn't limited to the Grand Lucayan Resort. Other affiliates of the TUC assembled downtown before leading a march through the streets of Freeport, calling for justice on behalf of Bahamian workers. Natalie Martinborough picks up the story.
Members of the Nurses Union joined customs and immigration officers for the early morning demonstration. The affiliates of the Trade Union Congress began assembling in the parking lot downtown Freeport around 8:30 a.m., calling for a resolution to a number of outstanding issues. Executive at the Bahamas Managing Union, Michael Pender, telling union members that the decision to strike was the last resort.
It seems to me that we are digressing. We are going back to those era when our forefathers, when people like Sir Milo and Sir Lyndon and Clifford Darling, when they had to fight so hard for us. And so we realize that the struggle continues, and we have to be the ones to stand in the gap and to make sure our rights are protected.
Leaders of the Customs and Immigration Union did not offer a comment on the strike action, but trustee with the Nurses Union, Annie Grant Stubbs, says they have all had enough and are tired of waiting for their issues to be addressed.
The nurses are here because we feel that we were not fairly treated, and we went and followed due process. And today we're here as a unity, as a union, to show that we're here legally, so there's nothing that they can do.
Pinder then encouraged members to continue to take a stand against what they call injustice when it comes to Bahamian workers, issuing a charge to union members to stand in unity and to demand results.
They may think we are divisive. They may think we are destructive. But in the end, they would see that it was for a good cause. Just as our forefathers, just as Sir Milo, just as Sir Lyndon, just as Sir Clifford, just as they fought, and the people told them that they're destroying the country, but they made a better place for us. And now we have to go back to that same place that they fought for. And so I just want to encourage you to continue this fight. And as I understand it, we are going to fight until we get some results. We're not going to give in, and we're not going to be intimidated.
Union members then led a march from the downtown parking lot down the Mall Drive to the Ramfilly Circus. Some members later joined the protest at the Grand Lucayan Resort. Natalie Martinborough, ZNS Network News.
ZNS News has learned that the strike action had minimal impact on the Customs and Immigration departments here on Grand Bahama. At the hospital, 41 of 94 nurses scheduled to work did not report for duty. Administrator Catherine Weish telling ZNS News that all departments are up and running and they were able to make adjustments to meet healthcare demands. General Manager at the Grand Lucayan Resort, Ben Davis, did not offer a comment on today's strike and the impact on the operations at the resort. Now, we spoke with the Director of Labor, Robert Farquharson, a short time ago about the strike action undertaken by the TUC.
Hotel, both the Bahamas Managerial Association and the hotel would represent the non-managerial workers at the Al-Lucayan Hotel, the Bahamas Nurses Union and the Bahamas Customs and Immigration Union have all filed trade disputes, and all those disputes have been referred to the Bahamas Industrial Tribunal. In accordance with Section 77 of the Industrial Relations Act, any matter that is before the tribunal, no member of any union and no executive committee of any union should call a strike in the furtherance of that dispute. If they call a strike, anybody that participates in a strike commits a criminal offense.
Farquharson also advising employees that the matter was taken to the Supreme Court and employees have been ordered to return to work.
The Honorable Minister of Labor, D.C. Gibson, went to before a Justice of the Supreme Court this afternoon, Honorable Justice Ian Winder, and applied to the court for an ex parte injunction. This afternoon, Justice Winder granted that injunction, and that injunction has ordered the Bahamas Nurses Union, the Bahamas Customs Immigration and Iron Workers Union, and the Bahamas Educators Managerial Union to cease and desist from participating in any strike action or any form of industrial action. They also ordered those members to report back to work, to report at the time they were scheduled, and not to participate in any further action until the matter is heard before a Justice of the Supreme Court.
In other news, members of the government's VAT education team on Grand Bahama for a series of meetings. The team will hold a number of sessions to educate the public about the government's plan to implement value-added tax in January of next year. The team began the educational tour with a visit to the Ministry for Grand Bahama this morning. Megan Shepard was there.
The value-added tax education team on Grand Bahama for 3 days, meeting with the stakeholders and consumers on the island. Their aim is to deepen the understanding of the public through a number of meetings. Their first stop, the Ministry for Grand Bahama. Financial Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, John Roll, says that they have been working tirelessly for the last year, preparing for the introduction of the value-added tax. Now that the tax is in the final stages of enactment, Roll says they are meeting with consumers and the business community.
And for consumers to understand what's involved when they go into the shops on January 1, to understand that there will have been some adjustment in prices, to know what to look for. I mean, the important message for the consumer is that when you go into the store on January 1, whatever the prices that you see on the shelf, that price which has changed in most cases from what you paid in December, that is the final price that you pay. So businesses will have to understand then how do they make the adjustment in their prices so that when the consumer picks the items up off the shelf, it already includes the amount of the VAT that they should be paying. When they get their receipts at the cash register, the receipt may look different because businesses could very well elect to break out the items. But the bottom line is that there is no extra amount added to your bill at the cash register.
Roll adds that an office is being established at the Region Center in Freeport, where a team will be available for any questions and consultations. For those in the business arena, he says there are a number of objectives they wish to accomplish.
For businesses, we want them to understand what's involved in registering for VAT. This is a process that's going to go from now until the end of the year. It's going to be in full steam by October. They will need to know what their options are in terms of how often they file returns to the government and make payments for VAT. They will need to know how they claim the credit for VAT that they pay on their purchases and supplies. And they will also need to understand how frequent they have to submit returns to the government.
Now, the VAT office at the Region Center is expected to be opened by the end of the week, but Roll says they are always available through other avenues. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Members of the VAT team also addressed the business community during a luncheon meeting at the Pelican Bay Resort today. Tonight, they will host a town meeting at the Foster B. Pastina Center here in Freeport. Stay with us. There's more news after this.